do the same thing to you, so why not do it to them? Why show them compassion when they ain't gonna show your folks no compassion?
Basically, saying he ain't sparing shit.
Yeah, for what? They ain't gonna spare me.
Put it like
yeah,
that.
wait. When if their son end up dead and they come to court, they ain't gonna spare me in the courtroom.
Hey, I know
they gonna want my ass shot.
Nah.
You hear me?
We begin with that breaking news tonight about the man accused of more than a dozen homicides in the city of Birmingham. Thanks for joining us at 10. I'm Guy Rawlings.
And I'm Sherry Falk. Within the last few hours, Birmingham police announced Damien McDaniel is now charged in connection to 4 more homicides in the city.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Like, share, subscribe, comment. IG TikTok bottom of the video, and we're just gonna hop right back into it. So today we will be talking about Damien McDaniel. So you might be unfamiliar with his name, you might not be, but you will be by the end of this video. So Damien McDaniel is the Alabama man who is now, as of today, it might be more shit, we never know, the way they keep adding, is being linked to 18 murders. Yes, you heard me, 18 murders. This nigga was going crazy. So allegedly he was a hitman, so it wasn't like this nigga just had 18 people he was out to kill, but alleged he was, you know, a murder for hire hitman, and he was getting busy. So we just gonna give you basically a timeline of everything he do. I'll go into details about the shootings that they actually, you know, have details out about, and yeah, let's get into it. So he is I was looking at his inmate shit and his date of birth. So his date of birth is July 6, 2002. So he's only a month older than me. So he is 22, finna be 23 next month. So he's very, very young. And when he first, you know, got charged, he was originally charged with this Birmingham mass shooting at Hush. But we'll get into that later because I'm gonna try to, you know, do it in order. So the first case he actually caught is not actually linked to these 18 murders, is in October 9th of 2019, where he was arrested on 2 counts of attempted murder for shooting into a vehicle. He was 17 at the time, obviously, but he pled guilty in 2023. His 15 years, he got 15 years, but they said 13 was suspended, so he had to serve 2, and he was really let out then because he had already served over 770 days, you know, waiting for trial. So that got, you know, as time served for 2 years, and he got out. So he got 13 years suspended, and this nigga after that, he went on a rampage. So what it looked like, the first one is July 12th, 2023. He shot 2 firefighters, Jordan Melton and Jamal Jones, and Melton died and Jones survived. So this is one of the ones that did have a little more detail. So what they saying are the shooting took place at Station 9 at approximately 8:30 a.m., which is 30 minutes after shift change. So he was definitely watching these niggas. 3 firefighters were working at a time doing their morning routine and daily duties at the station, getting ready for their 24-hour shift. The bay doors were open and the station doors were unlocked, which is not uncommon at the station. And then those 2 were shot. Melton died a few days later in the hospital, and Jones, who was critically injured, survived. And then he was eventually charged in February 25 for this. And then also, you know, Jones, you know, got promoted to the sergeant. So good for him. They're saying the third one, which is one of the ones he actually just got charged with while he's been in custody. It happened in 2023, November of 2023. He killed a Reginald Bryant, and that he got capital murder and robbery. So then the fourth incident, was January 4th incident for a third murder relating to the 18. So the third one, and I ain't gonna lie, he got a high percentage rating. Like, you know, a lot of niggas, you know, when they be, you know, this, because he's a hitman, so that's a little different. Like a murder, like say you know some of this gang violence, a lot of these niggas be shooting and missing, man, or shooting and hitting and not killing. This nigga was, you know, hitting these niggas every time and killing them damn near every time. Like, that shit ridiculous. So it says January 10th, 2024, he shot and killed Mia Nixon in her driveway. So this one has a little bit more details about it. It happened just before 2 a.m. At the time, no one was in custody, but now, like I said, they have charged him, and this was announced in 2025, and this one was one of his sole incidents. I forgot to say on the last one, the fireman, he was also charged with an Eddie Jones. So that one was crazy. The next one, on April 9th, 2024, he shot and killed Anthony Love Jr., who was just clocking out at UPS. This was one of the first ones that they kind of got an inkling that it was a murder for hire thing. So, like I said, he was shot right outside the facility after a shift change. He was also charged with a Charles Darius Nance. So, it looked like Charles Darius Nance was actually the guy who hired him, it looks like. The next one, and this was the first mass shooting. Yes, I said the first mass shooting on July 13th of 2024, where 4 were killed and 10 were injured in a shooting at Trendsetter Lounge. Stephen McGee, Angela Witherspoon, Makisha Gittins, and Rders Howard Anderson. I'm sorry for that, but he was also charged with the Hatarius Woods in this case. The reason I stopped right there, now it just makes me interested in the Inklings. How were they, all these people he's getting charged with, how were they, was he just a known, muscle, so they was like, oh, let's get this nigga on the line, we finna go do something, we gonna pay him? Or did he really know these niggas? He was like, oh, I'll help y'all do this shit. I'm like, him being this known of a muscle in the city is actually crazy. Like, how do you even get started? Obviously we've heard of hitmen and stuff like this, especially working for mobs and shit like that, but this nigga was a lone contractor and was out here just catching bodies. So that, like I said, after his first mass shooting, not his first mass shooting, like I said, it says this mass shooting, it was a birthday party held that night. The Birmingham said there was at least one suspect who drive by in a vehicle and fired shots from the venue into the venue. And now we know that it was actually 2 people who was who shot out of the vehicle. Next, literally a month later, on August 13th, 2024, Charlie Moore was killed inside of his home. Just after 8 p.m., officers were called to a location on reports that a stolen vehicle had been spotted. Police heard gunshots from an apartment in the area of North Birmingham Homes housing community, commonly referred to as Vice Hills. Officer then saw a person leave the apartment and confronted him. During a confrontation, an officer shot at the suspect. The suspect got into the passenger side of a vehicle that had been reported stolen and left the area. The chase ended when the suspects abandoned the vehicle in the 4100 block of Fairmont Place. 61 Charlie Moore was found shot to death inside of his apartment by responding officers. So clearly from that, y'all can see that they actually were able to see that McDaniels was the one running out of the apartment. Police seen him, and he obviously got away. They shot at him, and he still got away. Now, I ain't gonna lie, he hella smart for not shooting back at the police, because that, even though, some niggas would have shot back at the police, and then they would they would have tried to stop, and then the police would have got them eventually, just because they was going to either outnumber you, or they're actually trained to do this, or... So that takes a lot of wherewithal. This nigga knew what he was doing. But obviously this is, not his first hit at this point, what we're talking about. For this one, he was indicted on capital murder and first-degree burglar, and Woods and Nance were charged as well. Now, the next one we're getting into... Now, the next one we're getting into, we're talking about De'Antoinette Brown was killed in a shooting at the 604 Bar and Lounge. This was on September 19th, 2024, so literally the next month over. And just because they said the shooting does not appear to be random, but they do not believe Brown was the target. So this may have been one of his only misses that we talk about, but just from these bars and areas, I definitely it just gives, he was a hitman. He repeatedly are going to bars and catching people out. It's not like he just, you can't, it's hard to call him a serial killer because the way he's going about it, he's just a lot more ruthless and a lot not what's the word I'm looking for? He don't have a process like a serial killer. He really just going places and shooting at niggas. It's not. So that's why I don't think you can consider him a serial killer. But this nigga's a wild nigga, bro. Then the next thing, then 2 days later, after he kills that woman, De'Antoinette Brown, he has his second mass shooting. Now this is the one that kind of made the most not, I was about to say that was kind of the biggest, made the most news, and got his name out there. But on September 21st, 2024, just after 11 p.m., multiple shootings in a vehicle approached Hush, a hooker and cigar lounge on Magnolia Avenue with a line. They hopped out, fired, and drove away. And it was said that at least 100 shots were fired, and they were probably using Glock switches. So 4 people were killed. Like I said, 17 were injured. The victims were 21-year-old Andrea Hollerman, 26-year-old Roger Glenn Patterson, 27-year-old Taj Booker, and 27-year-old Carlos McCain. In this case, McDaniel was also charged with a Naquan Lawler and a Krishan McLemore Bruce for the mass shooting at 5 Points. Then 24 hours right after the 5 Points. So these are three shootings, basically 3 days in a row. 3 and 5 murders, because this one, you got 1 on the first day, 4 actually 6 actually, 1 on the first day, 4, and then another one, so 6. It says a Jamarcus McIntyre was killed in a shooting at Southeast Lake community. So it is said here that they responded to a shooting around 9:15, so literally 22 hours later. Through the city's shot spotter technology, it was determined at least 30 shots were fired. A man and woman were both taken to the hospital by private vehicle. Jamarcus McIntyre was pronounced dead. It said investigators received a tip that this latest shooting and homicide may be connected to Saturday's night mass shooting. It is unclear if the shots were fired from a car or if a suspect got out before they started shooting. These are the basically the 3 that got charged in the mass shooting, McDaniel, Lawler, and McLemore Bruce, were also charged here, in addition to a Rollins, Beck Jr., and a Holmes, who were also charged in this case, which makes me interested why it took 6 niggas to shoot at 2 people. But that's neither here nor there. But that's why it confuses me. Some of these, like, obviously at this point, if you kill 18 people, it's probably, definitely some of them have to be a murder for hire. But some of these I don't believe are murder for hire, just because he has, one consistent defendants obviously going on him with these hits. But I would like to know the backstory behind a lot of these. But as of 2024, they just added, this was another one that was just added within the last month. He's facing another capital murder charge in connection to a double homicide of Angelia Webster and Christian Norris, along with their unborn child. So on this October 16, 2024, he was finally arrested and charged in that Hush shooting. Like I said, in the Hush shooting. Okay, now on that Hush shooting, they have decided to also charge Beck and Rollins. So, like I say, he has consistent defendants on at least 2 of the shootings that he did out of the 3 days in a row. So that just makes me wonder, what's the backstory behind that? I'm very interested in that. Finally, on November 27, 2024, he was charged with Charlie Moore's death. That's the one he killed the man inside the apartment where the police confronted him and he got away. December 12th, 2024, they revoked his suspended sentence. Like I said at the beginning, his first run-in with the law was in 2019, where he got charged with 2 attempted murders. He pled guilty and got a 15-year suspended sentence, and he served 2. Now he had to obviously serve the remainder 13 years, but he has a whole lot more charges coming his way. And to this year, on February 25th, 2025, he was charged with the capital murder of Jordan Melton, who was the firefighter he shot. So I ain't gonna lie, his trial gonna be long as fuck. His trial gonna be long as hell. I don't think we need to go through, usually I sit here and go through like how many years somebody may get. This he's getting the death penalty. He's in Alabama. I'm pretty sure Alabama allows the death. Let me make sure. Yes, Alabama does have the death penalty. They say they have a high history of per capita execution rates. Yeah, he's gone. I don't think there's nothing else to say besides that nigga's gone. Obviously, he's going to, have to go sit through trial, get charged, convicted, sit on death row for however long, then they'll, finally do it. But he gone. It's no way you fighting 18 murders and he already got to serve 13. Even if he does the most miraculous thing in the world and beat all these cases, he still has to serve those 13. So he's still gonna be in jail to at least 20. He got arrested last year. They revoked it last year, so he's still gonna be in jail to at least 2037 already. Then, you know, you throw in a count of murders. Like, he might beat some of them, but he ain't beating all of them. Let's be for real. 18 murders in that short of a span, you're not beating all of them. And then on top of that, he has co-defendants in a lot of them. Somebody's going to tell. He got too many co-defendants. He has way too many co-defendants. If he had one, then you'd be like, okay, maybe. But he has 3 on multiple cases, and then he has some, like, one in some other cases. Like, he got way too many. He got at least 5 co-defendants. Having 5 co-defendants, somebody's going to rat. And they murders, somebody's ratting. You feel me? Somebody's gonna tell. So it's over with. He's getting charged or something. He didn't got charged with multiple capital murders. So one of them stick, he gone. But yeah, he is. I'm just very interested in seeing if we get more details into like what was the motive behind some of these. Obviously, we know some of these are murder for hires and he got paid for these, but I just don't feel like all of them are. So that makes me wonder what's the rest of them. But obviously, this nigga had a thirst for blood. But yeah, that shit crazy. I ain't got too much more to say, but like, share, subscribe, comment, IG, TikTok, on the video, and we out.